Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena Companions. Today's video, we're going to be breaking down the tier list for companions and looking at what heroes are most prevalent. Now, overall, when you start thinking of the classic version of AFK Arena, there were some super important, super high priority heroes in here, including Belinda, looking at Chimera, looking at the release of Damon, looking at Silas. There were some really game-changing heroes in here. And of course, when it comes to our Celestials and our Hypos, for me and pretty much everyone else, we don't have any resources to summon them to any level that we wanted to. But I wanted to hop over, wanted to break down this guide that was actually put over on Reddit. I'll put a link down below for companions, specifically looking at the visual guide from a brand new content creator, Shuda, or Shudi, I think it is, Shudi. I'm going to have to see exactly the pronunciation, but I wanted to get some more exposure for the guide over on Reddit because I know visually, there's not a lot of content creators that still do the visual guides. So definitely want to make sure getting this, grabbing it, and then of course, bookmarking it. So let's hop over and take a look at this guide. So here is the companion tier list. Now I like visually how it kind of breaks it down. Did use Tiermaker. I love Tiermaker. This is something that I've actually used for years at this point. So breaking it down with the patch, starting with our very top left, which is the S tier. Thinking of the heroes again that have a huge impact. And I don't know, I kind of want to talk through this because some of these heroes, I don't know quite the impact that we see to put them really in that top tier. But you also have to remember some of these heroes have divine abilities and some of these heroes do not. So that's a big change than what we've seen traditionally with the classic version. The divine ability was not there. And also with the divine ability, it almost took the furniture and it took the engraving and kind of rolled it together. That is how they did this within Companions. If you're unfamiliar with it, again, there are a few heroes that do have that divine ability. Now, starting up here, of course, the Awakened version of Solus, it is still the absolute most broken hero that we have within AFK Companions. Pretty easy to get. If you get 5 Wilder heroes, you have the ability to actually unlock her and you get her for free. There is no Temple of Time. There are no time emblems. There is no BS when it comes to trying to summon them and get copies. And when you do get additional Wilders up to Ascended, you will actually add more stars onto the Awakened version of Solus, making her a priority. Now, thinking even again, back to the classic one, she is still a priority and still a pretty high priority when it comes to having the utility of an Awakened hero with an SP effect, but also being a support hero, super effective. Now, looking at Mishka, this is one even in the classic version. And I know there's going to be a lot of comparisons. Super effective with the heal, does require the signature item to be effective up to about 20. But even as a basic level, still incredibly strong because she has the wolves. Now, the wolves, of course, can take damage. The wolves can tank. The wolves can die. Makes a big difference, though, survivability in a lot of different game modes. And the same with Damon. Damon has that blood shield. When you get that plus 20 signature item, works super, super well as a hero. Unfortunately, no divine ability at this point. But when you think about being able to push the campaign progression, Chimera was the biggest really carry for an incredible amount of time. Then Damon came out. Damon replaced Chimera in her entirety in the classic version, really making a difference. Now, Leica, I don't think I would put Leica in the S tier for the simple fact that the awe ability she possesses, which is her, I think her third skill, makes a big difference, but it works without being super built. And even the breakdown, the defense, the armor breakdown does work incredibly well without being built. So I might have put her on my tier list a little bit lower just because, again, she has a lot of basic utility, which does work incredibly well. Now, Grez, absolutely S tier when you start building out, and he does possess that divine ability. When you start building him out a little bit further, you get the skeletons, then the skeletons get the shields, which makes and really builds Grez as we know him today. Still working incredibly well. And then, of course, Chimera, when it comes to PvP, when it comes to a lot of game modes, still a carry and still putting out an incredible amount of damage. Now, getting into the A tier, we do have Rowan in here. So the support hero, my absolute favorite hero. And honestly, one of the big things with the tier list is the signature items that they possess It is incredibly difficult in companions to build signature items. As easy as it is, even going to a plus 40 signature item in the classic version, in this version, it is super hard to get red chests, super expensive. I believe it's around 2,000 diamonds, which diamonds aren't that easy to come by, but it's around 2,000 diamonds for 10 red chests. And the multitude of red chests you need to actually build this out. It's a very, very slow go with signature items, and I've been kind of tiering it like I have for the last 5 years with AFK Arena. I'm kind of tiering them with a priority in who I want to build, and honestly, Rowan is slowly getting there, but it is way slower with the chest than I thought. Now, Thane is in here. Thane works super well, does require the signature item. So if you have Thane, I don't even think I have Thane yet. I might have one copy. Thane works incredibly well if you have the signature item unlocked in there. That is what boosts his damage through the roof. Now, looking right here at Rosaline can follow a couple different heroes, including the awakened version of Soulless, can also follow Grez, also follow Belinda. They work incredibly well in conjunction. Silas is another one to get the immunity, but also to get the attack boost and the healing. Does again require the signature item. Same with Neve. Neve does require to be built out quite a bit to be effective within formations, but still coming at a very high tier. Now the B tier, this one again looks pretty solid overall. I would probably even put Belinda possibly up in this A tier. The reason being Belinda gets the blessing ability. The blessing ability can make the damage go through the roof. And a lot of players, if you remember, ran Shamira and Belinda together. Again, the combination of those two, because Belinda can buff up herself and buff up other team members, makes a big difference, and she does put out quite a bit of damage. So when you're fighting bosses that might not do as much damage to your team, Belinda can work incredibly well. Now, Strilda as a buffer, again, works super well, and I think she has an Inspire ability. I think it is Inspire that does buffs. Going to require, because we're pretty limited with the buffs that we're getting within this game. Scrag, of course, has the immunity to crowd control. Damage mitigation has the knockback, works incredibly well. Higher teams, Tassie can do the banish, Tassie can do the sleep. Crowd control is there. Same with Hodgkin. Buffer crowd control works incredibly well. Sonya's one that worked and really lived very short-lived in the classic version. I like the ability for her to mitigate damage, but I don't like how she just kind of stays in one spot. Now, Iran is one that just received the divine ability, which allowed him to do a lot more damage. And unfortunately for bosses, he doesn't really do a lot of damage at all when it comes to campaign formations, when it comes to PvP. Does work incredibly well because you can target what heroes you want to bring in. Then we have Thisu. If you guys seen Vulcan running Thisu, very basic game in Companions, didn't have the ability. He does require, again, a little bit more of a level and a build out to work incredibly well. Same with Entendre. Entendre does decent. The big thing with Entendre is she doesn't have the survivability because right now we don't have, again, the furniture and the signature items to increase her survivability. She does die pretty quick, but you do have to put her back row if you want her to live. And then Belinda, of course, with the blessing, works incredibly well. Now, even down here, I would probably maybe put Crescio a little bit higher. Again, just for the simple fact, maybe in the B tier, is when it comes to boss damage, Crescio built out can do some pretty decent damage, but overall, not a crazy amount of damage and pretty limited with the heroes that we have. Now, looking at Athalia, this is one, because you can target a specific hero, makes a big difference. You can take them out. You can take them out really quick. Hendrik in there for the immunity. Even looking at Hendrik with really anyone, the ability to cheat death early game, and he was the first one that could shield it, works incredibly well. Now, Skarath, if we could get the 5-pull going, that might work, and he might go somewhere. Titus I like because of the Mauler Tower. He is still one of the only ones we have that can fear in here. With the Mauler Tower, it does work well. Very burst damage, but can also die pretty easy. Maro has some crowd control, but overall not a lot of utility. We have the cheat death or that immunity with Treznar as well. Cecilia can target specific targets. Again, can work very well, kind of a little bit more niche. Lucius dies too quick. Thorin, you got to kill twice. Thorin's just kind of more in the pain in the butt. I haven't seen the cheese. I don't think we have the Thorin cheese with retaliation ability, or I haven't seen anyone running it at this point. Salakai as a buffer, again, not a lot of utility, not a lot higher in the tier list. Desira has the immunity, has some buffing out of there. Oku, a pretty solid tank overall. And then we start getting towards the lower level of this. We have Gorvo, which of course has his shield and his stun. We have Nomura in here. We don't have the Beguile ability, which unfortunately is the reason why players used her was the instant Beguile ability. She does still possess the ability, but again, not seeing a ton of utility. Isabella, the damage isn't quite there. Respin, again, PvP-wise, he was really good. Not a lot of utility in here. Nemitsu with the totems. Totems still die super fast. Pippa just really doesn't work without everybody else, including Raku that was running in formations. And then, of course, a few other heroes down here. We have Falks for some crowd control. Burke and Ksos and Sirius, again, not being used. Now, one copy wonder, Taylene does have an incredible amount of healing at one single copy. Mahiro for the crowd control, Mortis for the buffing, then Nara for the instant crowd control, or really being able to target a specific target. Same reason why Athalia does work pretty well. And then Brutus has the immunity shield, which has always made Brutus an absolute priority. Now, when we start looking into the Celestial heroes down here, there is not enough data really at all to see the effectiveness. Even looking at the Awakened version of Taylene, I don't know anyone who has her built. So again, it's very hard when it comes to the summons. And then, of course, we just literally dropped Gwen a couple days ago. We knew Gwen was super effective with Hendrik, but I don't know exactly where the damage is going to come out because it is a little difference. Again, not having the furniture, not having the engraving, and only having the base signature items with no divine ability does make it a big difference. Now you can see kind of breaking it down the top tier. So looking at, breaking it down, kind of what I did. Main DPS before you unlock Soulless, and even afterwards, she's important to burst through Orthos. Now, if you have fought Orthos, talk about an actual pain in the butt. It is crazy how strong Orthos is in this game, how hard it is to kill Orthos. It is kind of crazy. Now, of course, going down here, best support for Graveborn, definitely in the hyper carry comps right here with Rosaline. We have Rowan with Solus down here. And then, of course, it's based on his personal opinion. But I wanted to get this out there. I wanted to show you exactly what I'm kind of working on. It's really cool to see a companions tier list. So, all right, guys. So that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the tier list. And as always, thank you guys for watching.